Afternoon, and thank you for joining us today for the Software Solutions webinar. My name is Peggy Zirkin. I take care of the education program here for the Winnipeg Construction Association. And I'm going to do a shameless plug before I turn it over to John and Tim. So the fall education program is well underway, and we have over 80 courses that are ready to roll and ready and open for registrations. So you may have received this education program in the mail. If you haven't, let me know and I'll send you a copy, or feel free to go onto our website and there's a digital copy there. So hope to see you all either in the classroom. We're going to open up again very soon, or on webinars just like this one. So we are here today for the Software Solutions webinar. We have John Enns, Tim O'Brien, and Craig Hurst with us today. These guys are super passionate about the work they do. And over the next hour, they're going to walk you through some really important considerations and some critical information as you may be considering what are the right software solutions for your company. So with that, I'll thank you once again to the Net Effect, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks a lot, Peggy. Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining our webinar, the Software Solutions to Increase Construction Profits, presented by the Net Effect, our company, and the Winnipeg Construction Association. My name is John Enns, and along with my partners, Tim O'Brien, as Peggy mentioned, and Craig Hurst, we will give you some insights into today's construction software market. Let's just do a little housekeeping to get started. Craig will be in the background monitoring your questions. Now, please enter your questions in the Q&A feature and not in the chat feature. If we don't get to them during the webinar, we'll try to answer them at the end if there's time, and barring that, we will get back to you via email when we are done. So please don't hesitate to ask as many questions as you feel, the more the better. There will also be a few polling questions during the webinar, and we will be sharing the results as we go. A little bit about myself. I've been in the construction industry for 20 years, 15 great years with Vector Construction, doing a number of roles there. Currently, I've been with the WCA board since 2013, and I'm currently the chair. I did a 4-year stint with the Canadian Construction Association for 4 years, ending in 2019. And a bit about our company, the Net Effect. The Net Effect was formed between the three of us because we saw the contractors needed help with software selection. And we realized it takes a lot of time to research all of the products out there. And we saw that companies are really struggling to find the right solutions. And I'll pass it off to Tim to do a little bit more of an intro on himself.
Hey, thanks a lot, John. Pleasure to be here. Thanks to the Winnipeg Construction Association for hosting us. Thanks, Peggy. I won't give you all the details of my resume. You can find those on LinkedIn or on our website. But I owned and operated a paving stone company called Brick Dried Paving in Whistler, BC for 15 years. Started that in 1997. Back then I used Excel templates for calculating quotes and Word for contract templates. So over 20 years ago, saw the need for, software solutions. But recently I've been working with a contractor as a contract supervisor, a civil excavation firm out of Whistler until just about 2 years ago. And while I was there, they went from carbon copy timesheets to a proprietary solution. And that's when I really realized that there was a huge need for contractors to go digital. Enough about me. Craig is our third partner, and Craig is our director of client success. He's the partner that brings all of the knowledge and the deep knowledge of software and change management. Craig spent 30 years leading startups from kitchen table to international operations, working with the World Bank, various government, Ontario government ministries, but specifically the Ontario Ministry of Health, where he implemented several system-wide applications and was the leader of the ministry's e-health strategy. Craig was the president of Online International that did the work for the World Bank before anybody really knew what online was. So his deep knowledge is where we get a lot of our understanding of software.
All right, thanks, Tim. Let's get to it. Why are we here? The goal of this webinar is to help your business be more informed about the basics of construction software landscape. We want to give you an idea of how to decide what construction software you might need, introduce you to the different categories of construction specific software, and talk about the benefits and barriers to adoption. How to implement this software successfully is a big part of this presentation as well. Increasing profits through the implementation of construction specific software is where we want to go with this, because that's what's going to interest most people, I think. But most of all, we want you to find more time to do what you really enjoy, whether that's with your family, recreation, or whatever it is. Understanding how to run your business more efficiently with the use of construction specific software will help you get there. And now Tim and I will run down some of the different definitions in this space so that we're all on the same page. Okay, so let's start with the tech stack. You probably heard this term before, but like I said, let's just define it. A tech stack is the apps and online resources your company uses. It might be pen and paper, but currently your company likely has several digital tools in the toolbox, and these have become the backbone of your business, but typically are made of broad general uses, not construction specific. So your email program, your texting, Excel, Word, you may even be using Microsoft projects. Accounting and payroll is obviously a big part of it. And these are all part of your tech stack. Many of these will always exist in your tech stack because, like an old pair of underwear, they are comfortable, but it might be time to change. Sorry about this. Next up, we have a poll question that Craig is going to put up, and it is your company using construction specific software? You got 3 answers there. We'll share this with you. Just take a second to put in your answer and hit submit. And Craig will share that with you in a second once everyone's answered. These poll questions are there to help us understand where you guys are at, as well as to make sure you're still engaged.
Sorry. Something happened.
There we go.
Uh-oh. All over the place now. Okay. There we go.
Answers of no and a couple that are looking for it. Good for you to the folks, the 40% of you that are already doing something. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's not an easy step to take for sure.
There we go.
All right, let's move on to the next slide.
Great. So what is the cloud anyway? Cloud is a really important part of online. Oh boy, pardon me. This is happening. There we go. Let's try that again. There we go. What is the cloud anyway? It refers to cloud computing and internet-based storage. So your online computing. The data doesn't live on your computer anymore or on your phone, but it's stored elsewhere on servers that you access through a web browser or a platform. But cloud computing is now secure, and big business and government use it, and there's much less concern about security as there was in the past. Amazon, the largest cloud-based storage provider with 33% of a $76 billion market.
I'll just interject a little bit here and say, if we're having some glitches, this is a truly interprovincial presentation. Tim is in Vancouver, Craig is in Owen Sound, and Peggy and I are in Winnipeg at the WCA. But anyway, on to the next slide. Now we'll define SaaS. What is SaaS other than what your teenager gives you on a regular basis? SaaS is an acronym for Software as a Service. Now, SaaS is where all the software tools live now. We just described cloud computing, and SaaS is all the programs that live on the cloud, as well as your data storage and your documents. And that's how they are delivered. Everything runs on the web now. And that's why they can be assessed and input and can be done on mobile or on tablets in the field. These programs and platforms are a monthly, yearly, or per payment or a per user payment subscription, and you pay for it as long as you use it.
Okay, well, these are some of the acronyms that we've, of the different categories for construction-specific software. The offerings that are directed at the construction industry are growing, and there are several categories of this product. It's important to understand the different categories so you can choose the one that's going to work best for your business. We'll give you an explanation of each of these as we go.
Or did I jump ahead? SaaS, LEM. You did the acronyms, Tim. So you want to start with LEM?
No, we're going with, we've got a slide here, project, the different infographic here of the different types of software that have been implemented in the last year.
Okay.
Yeah, from small and medium businesses. Yeah.
This infographic, yeah, it shows you. It's an infographic from Software Advice and surveyed small to medium construction businesses, but on the high end of the small end. This is a survey of companies typically over 10 million. In the past 12 months, you can see in this graph the types of software that have been implemented. PM and estimating and BIM are the top three. And yeah, Tim, I think we have to go back a few slides here.
Why would you?
Go to 13.
Yeah. Yeah, we did that one. We'll move on to LEM.
Yeah.
Yep. There we go. LEM, labor, equipment, and materials. Now, time tracking has its own category, but in the construction space, it's best if you find a time tracking that's grouped with labor, equipment, and materials. It's typically easy to adopt LEM. It's for your first software, foray, because you get a high percentage buy-in from the staff, mainly because they see a direct benefit, right? Because if they enter their time, they get paid and it's done accurately. So not only does it track their time, it's going to enter their tasks performed, equipment used, materials consumed as the work is performed. The more detail you can capture, the better. Like a good LEM in the hands of your staff creates all these multiple entry points, right? And the more data you have, the greater insight you're going to have. A true LEM is a huge asset, and it's an excellent first step in controlling costs and getting real-time insight into your company's finances. This tool on its own is extremely influential because it drills down into task tracking on a selected job or cost codes. And you can really get some powerful data on performance that quickly turns around and influences your estimating. So immediate understanding of profit margin is great to know. And that way you can reward your staff and get to the root of a problem or make corrections. Often other categories have LEM tracking functionality, and some will need to be paired up with LEM. There's a lot of different product out there in this space.
The next segment is the pre-con or pre-construction. This is a broad category. It has many single-use tools, and like LEM, they are often captured with an ERP or a project management tool. In my career, have spent a lot of time in pre-con estimating and bid management. There's a few different categories within this segment. Estimating is the most common software needed by trades and the GCs across the board for every size of business. One-man shop to multinational can all benefit from a robust estimating platform. But very often it can be troublesome to adopt. And like I said, I've done a lot of estimating in my career, and I know it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks sometimes. Moving into takeoffs, you've probably seen some of you are using some different stuff. It's usually with PDF viewers. You take your drawings from the designer, and then you put it into PDF, and you use that program to do your takeoffs. Most common would be Bluebeam. The WCA here actually offers some great courses in Bluebeam. Another segment is the design, and there's a lot of different tools in this segment. It's really an endless category with many incredible visual aids that anyone can use, and typically contractors will only require viewers though. Bid management, to wrap this off, will help you with the opening and closing of tenders, accessing plans and contracts, open communication, and the ability to answer questions on the plans and contracts. And it really helps you manage all your sub and material pricing. We'll go into ERP with Tim now.
Okay, ERP is enterprise resource planning. So it's business management software. So that's the analytics of the business. And it's not necessarily down to the task list and operational, but it's really an overarching all-in-one software that assesses efficiency and profitability. There are two types of ERP. There's one type that's really focused on the robust analytics, and it's typically like Sage 100, something like that. Your CFO is going to like this, and that'll analyze everything post accounting input. And then the other type is more operational, and it's led by encompasses capturing all the data before you enter it. So it'll have different types of operational aspects that it captures with estimating and documentation, H&S, LEM, scheduling, other features. And your COO or your controller or operations manager is going to like this because they'll be able to look at the different analytics before it goes in to the accounting program. So you get product like Procore or Red Team. Those are the ones that are more operationally focused. And ERP and project management software can be confused because ERP is really overarching, gives you high end, and it can manage projects at a surface level at times. But really, and PM will tell you that sometimes it has really good functionality and overview of what's happening with your business. But it all depends on the size, the structure, and the makeup of the type of construction you perform. So although it's a big investment in time, you really need the skills to, like you have to have a good C-suite or a good, management team that has the time, and they're not really operationally focused, but they can look at the business as a whole. But ERP is going to help you look ahead into the future, and rather than just reacting, it's great for that. Project management, that's next up. So project management is a great tool for GCs and home builders. It's great for long-term projects, particularly if you're looking at house builds or multiple house builds. It helps with everything from pre-con right through to handover. Encompasses planning, scheduling, information sharing, RFIs, change orders, deficiencies. And a well-suited PM platform is going to simplify the GC's tech stack away from a bunch of different solutions. Like if you've got spreadsheets and Dropboxes and unsorted email, it brings it all together in one place so that you can track things in a more efficient way. This category, there are platforms that are suited to home builders and renovators. And then there's others that are really focused on commercial and multifamily or vertical. And it's important to find the one that best suits the kind of work you do. A lot of companies get dragged into using a software that's really doesn't drill down and work for them. And they end up with a lot of, it's best to get something that's suited specifically for the type of work you're doing. And Microsoft Project as well, it can be used for managing a project, but really it's meant for larger projects over $10 million, or if you're in smaller projects, you really need to be a PMP to utilize Microsoft Project. It's not, it doesn't drill down into tasks list, and it's not specific for construction. So it's best to stay away from that and try and find the good project management software that's construction specific.
Yeah, well put, Tim. This next piece I think is important. I don't care what size your business is. I think everyone needs to invest in some of this software. It'll make their lives a lot easier and make their work sites a lot safer. Occupational health and safety compliance is now a must-have in the construction space, and for good reason. This type of software is like insurance and often overlooked. It's an easy win for small construction businesses. These programs will help organize employee profile, employee education, safety reporting, distribution of reports, checklists, COVID screening, which is pertinent now, all kinds of compliances, field level health or hazard assessments, and all your tailgate talks and whatever documentation that your company happens to be using. Health and safety solutions can also act as a default HR repository and are literal lifesavers when things go wrong. A lot of people are core compliance now, and that's going to be more and more as time goes on. And this can be a daunting task. And the application of an H&S solution can dramatically reduce the times for reporting and audits. H&S compliant software will help you create a culture of safety by making it easy for your staff to habitually consider and practice safe work habits and learn about the safe way to perform the work. The reporting to owners, GCs, WorkSafe, and any third-party safety organizations and the head office ensures that safety is being considered and performed at all times. And you see examples. One Life is actually a locally developed software, and it really helps solve a lot of those problems. Tim, you want to take field service management?
Yeah, next up on our list is field service management, FSM. Contractors that are performing work on site for as little as 1 hour, this is for you. And when you're on site for just a short time, 1 hour, 1 day, it leads to heavy paperwork loads and opportunities for missing revenue. Trades like electrical, plumbing, landscaping, HVAC, it's best for these kind of service industry type contractors. Quotes can be done ahead of time or in the field. Billing can be handled immediately and payment can be taken on the spot. FSM tools put all of the data captured in the hands of the staff member that's performing the work on site. So these are great ways to track your billable hours, materials used, and closing a job from start to finish with detailed information. So it's a great tool for contractors who are operating in the field to get the work done and not have to worry about losing all the paperwork and waiting for the paperwork to come in. I know I've had service companies around here, and it's always fantastic when you can get them in and then pay them on the spot. It's all done. So it's a great way to profitability.
And there are some great products in that market. In my mind, TradeTrax really stands out there. There's some other ones, some simple tools that have been found to be extremely useful and can be used by most trades, others that are specialty trades. Company Cam is one, and it's great for almost any trade. You set up a job site and it logs all the pictures from that site into a folder for that job on the web platform. And I don't know really a trade that would not benefit from having this app. Again, some of the stuff is covered by some of the bigger ERPs and project management softwares. Magic Plan is also a great mapping out for reno space. If you need to measure an area, it utilizes the camera with augmented reality in your phone to create a 3D model of the space with accurate measurements. It's really kind of crazy science fiction stuff in the palm of your hand. There are dozens of calculators and communication tools out there, but your staff probably already are using some of these, and these are typically free. There are other niche top-end softwares for asset management, supply chain, amongst others, but we have focused here sort of on the core categories. SwipeDown is another one that helps track personnel and sub-presence on a site, which is pretty handy, especially during a pandemic and having to log all this for contact tracing. Now, I think we are at poll number 2. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
So Craig will put that up. What solutions does your company need? And you can click on as many of these as you want to. I'm going to guess that everyone needs all of them, but let's see what happens. We'll just take a minute to do this. And we'll get the results up in a minute.
Hey, there we go. Technical, there we go. Back on track. The poll is messing with me. I can't touch it. If I touch the poll, I lose the slideshow.
It's like winter in Winnipeg. Don't lick the poll.
Perfect. Okay.
There we go.
Excellent.
Whoa. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, LEM is at the top of the list for sure. No, tied with project management. Okay, I'd like to see some more occupational health and safety, but that's good. Maybe people have that already. Okay, that's great. Moving right along.
Why now? Okay, so why now? Why is now the time to digitize? Well, the construction industry has been doing the business side relatively unchanged for literally centuries. And the construction trades have been really slow to adopt new systems to run their businesses. But with hardware advances in the last 30 years of, personal computing, et cetera, there have been huge changes and huge additions to the contracting. So you're looking at the project management side, and all of your tech stack has been developed over the last 30 years. And a lot of you have been using that. But now in the last 5 to 10 years, because of cloud computing and SaaS, they've created an environment where the development and the distribution of software is becoming more profitable for the designer and the developer, so they can develop product for smaller niches. So you're getting product for contracting, more and more of it, whereas 10 years ago there wasn't a lot out there. But because it's cheaper and easier for the a developer to build, we're seeing a lot of it coming up. So these programs don't need to be put on a disk or sent to a computer retailer or sent to you, on a disk to put onto your computer. Everything is up on the website or in the app store, so you can download it really easily. So that's what's creating this environment where it's much easier, much cheaper for us to find good software. Now, benefits to adoption too. So other contributing factors, one of the biggest factors in the game is the ubiquity of the smartphone. So every staff has a smartphone in their hands, right? So this is a data collection point. And when your entire staff are the data collection points, that creates the analytics. So a cell phone as a data collection point is happening all the time in real time on the job site. So when they're out there, they're entering their time, they're entering the materials they use right there, on the site. Like I said, I worked for a company that did everything on carbon copy. And I know that the operations director would be on us 3 days after we had done the work and said, hey, I haven't got your time slips for the last 3 days. Well, with good software, that doesn't happen anymore. You're able to get the data immediately in real time, because you can send them a text at the end of the day because I haven't seen your stuff come in. And so this can really be, this is what's really important, is getting all that data. The other thing is digital signals and Wi-Fi. They're available at most construction sites, wherever your staff are working. And now are not only smartphones connected in the field, you've got laptops and tablets that have the same connectivity, whether it's through a SIM card or you tether it to your cell phone. This is leading companies to drive down into even smaller niches, and you're seeing ROI, and they're seeing ROI in this construction field. So now we see dozens, even hundreds of apps specifically that are for the construction industry. John.
Yeah, so let's talk about some benefits to the adoption. I mean, obviously some people they're not as obvious to some as they are to others, but let's talk about the reality of it. And there are obvious benefits that the software companies will sell you on. And as with anything, it's all about how much effort you put into it. It's not magic. You and your staff will still have to make the effort, just like they did when they learned how to use Excel or email, or, back in the day, for those of us that are old enough, when you started adopting the internet. If you're planning to grow your business, adopting new software applications is a very important step in doing this. It's going to increase your efficiency. There's going to be less duplication, less mistakes, and improved communication, along with increased accurate data collection, which will lead to increased profit margins over and over again. Production volume and better communication with the client leads to a happier client. And also, and this is a big thing, you'll have more times to do the thing you like, or do more things that are required for your business to grow. Some of the not so obvious benefits that you may see in the reviews of software or sales material are the deep analytics and of the efficiency of your company. You're going to look at your labor efficiency or inefficiency, the production rates of equipment or your staff. You're going to see what kind of material wastes are accurate. Should you be putting 5% or 10%? When you have a constant and accurate tracking of your labor and equipment and materials, and accurate and immediate accounts receivable and accounts payable, like in real time, day to day, and have a clear understanding of overheads and margin, this all leads to the real-time financials and improved cash flow. And this will free up credit to build your business. When you have a timely understanding of your margins on a job, you can manage the performance of your staff. And customer relationships are not always easy to measure, but we all know that when you're imagining a project on time and on budget, there's solid communication, happy customers exist and don't become a headache. In fact, they become a referral. So, you know, we'd all rather lose a tiny bit of profit rather than have a disgruntled client, because a disgruntled client is the worst kind of stress in this industry for sure. A few more barriers to adoption, and there are a lot, and you'll hear this a lot: if it's not broken, don't fix it. But do you know what your company's profit margin is? And do you know the industry standard for your business segment? This will tell you if you're broke or not. If your company's in the top quarter, then carry on, good work. But if you're in the top quarter, you could probably be in the top, a smaller margin there with good analytics and good data collection. Another barrier is we don't have the time. You really need to make the time. Make profitability and efficiency a priority. Reliability, like people are not trusting the software that's out there, but it really has come a long way, and it's a fair concern, but things are a lot better. Good research into the software market will help with that. You might have budgetary priorities, but it's a valid concern, but make profitability and efficiency a priority. Also, lack of technical skills. You might have trouble with your staff. You know, they just don't want to adopt, or they just don't have the technical skills. You'll need to find someone in your organization that will take on the adoption of the new software and new technology and share it with the rest of the company. There's some more. It doesn't fit your current process. You know, it's hard to, especially in estimating. Well, the estimating software doesn't match up with the way we do our line items. And if you go back to the last slide, if your company is in the top 0.25% of profitability, you might need to consider changing your processes. The effects of disruption, which can be scary, this just requires proper change management planning, and we'll get to that later at the end of the presentation. And staff acceptance. I think that when you show that you're trying to be more efficient and organized, and show them that it's going to make their life easier, you will eventually get buy-in. So this brings us, you can put down your sandwich or burger now. This brings us to our next poll question. And that is, what keeps your company from adopting and expanding technology? Or what barriers are you guys facing? Is it budget? Is it too expensive? Are you too busy? And that's a common one. You're lacking internal skills, also a common one. Staff resistance, proof of value, or hesitant leadership, which, you know, can be all of that. Take a second to filter your results. And we're just waiting for the results. Oh, budget. That's interesting. And I'll say right now that the cost of implementing software now has never been more economical than it's ever been because of SaaS and the cloud. So that's interesting. It's good to know. Hopefully we can change that perception through this presentation. So moving on to this next slide. Oh, change management. No, I'm on a slide, Tim, that says top positive impacts. It's the graphic. I have a feeling that when I loaded this to PowerPoint, it didn't do it the same as yours did it. So slide 29.
We're going to take a second here, John. I'm just going to reset the web presentation.
All right. We're right on schedule here, so I don't think that matters. Take a sip of coffee, do what you got to do. We're still here. When Tim gets the slide up, it's a survey of the top positive impacts of software for small construction businesses. And at the top is improved accuracy of estimates. And anyone that's done any estimating or guesstimating, as I like to call it, knows how important it is to be able to pull data to say, okay, what does it take for a guy to chip out 100 square feet of concrete? What does it take? How many hours does it take to crew to build a wall out of wood or out of steel? The second one that you'll see is reduced operational costs. Yeah, because you're live tracking your costs, so you can see where your overruns are coming.
Okay, coming, John. Working on it here.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. Small technical glitches. This is, like I said, Tim's in Vancouver, I'm in Winnipeg, and Craig is in Owen Sound.
There we are.
Full 3.
Is that where we're at?
Yeah. And then the next slide is the graphic software advice.
There we go.
There we go. So yeah, this shows the positive impacts of software as reported by construction companies. And if you look at the top 5 in this chart, all of these are directly affect your bottom line and help to increase profits. And that's the accuracy of estimates, reduced operational cost, improved engagement with clients, increased employee productivity, that's a big one, and reduced project costs or overruns. I won't stick on that too long. And we said this will be up on our blog, and we'll be sending you a copy of this as well after the presentation. Okay, Tim, do you want to take how do I decide what I need?
Yeah, I'll take over. So how do you decide what software you need? So researching the best software for your business takes a lot of time. There seems to be new software released every day. We've said that 10 times already. Because we're always overwhelmed with how many demos we do. Salespeople really, you know, the software sales will tell you how excellent their system is, but really the flaws in their technology aren't revealed till later on when you're stuck in a contract and you've paid for the product. So therefore, doing thorough research and comparing different systems and capabilities is very, very important. We recommend you consider a process, and at a minimum, this is like top end process. We have a much more in-depth process that we undertake to really get into it, but at a minimum, 4-step process to figure out what we need. So needs analysis, your pain points, constraint analysis, a software assessment, and then a budget and ROI calculation. So starting with the needs analysis, so your pain points, you really need to dig into that. What are the areas that are your biggest struggle? What are you having problems with? Where and what other parts of the operation need organizing? Can your pain points be solved by a specific tool? Are you bleeding money because of poor tracking? So maybe an LEM will help. You're not winning jobs because your pricing is inaccurate. Look at an estimating tool. Health and safety is taking a lot of productive time from staff. Well, look into an H&S platform. You can do an internal self-assessment with the guidance of some good research, or you can have a third party come and take a look at how your business measures up. Constraint analysis. Not only do you need to understand your weak points, you need to understand your company's performance, but you need to understand your company's capability constraints. So how much time? Time you need, you'll need to have an in-depth look at the timing of when and how much time it's going to take to roll out new software. The skills of your staff. Do you have a key staff member with the skill set to deploy, and or will you need to support the staff to get the ball rolling? Do you need to hire someone, or is there an existing staff member that you can oversee the implementation and shift out of that role into a new role? And desire. Do you have buy-in from the key decision makers? So if the owner is kind of resistant, is your ops director resistant? Or if you're the owner, are your staff resistant? We'll look at that as well. But you need to maybe put together make a case presentation for your leadership group. That's going to be something you need to look at. After that, you need to do a software analysis. So in step 1, you looked at analysis to decide what part of the business operations we're going to need software solution. Does this software that you're looking at, does it solve a problem? It's great to have shiny new stuff, but if it isn't solving a problem, there's no point. Is there a logical interface? Is it user-friendly? Is it easy to navigate? Are your staff going to be able to use it? When you're looking at it, and does it make sense to you, and do all the functions kind of work intuitively? Does it talk to your other software in your tech stack? Does it need to talk to your other software in your tech stack, or does it take over for a lot of that stuff? And does it have all the features that you need? Is it a fit for your size of company? Because some project management software will tell you it's good for subtrades, but not unless you're like $10 million business and over. So some service software is going to tell you that it can handle projects, but they really only scratch the surface. So the software needs to fit your trade and your size of company. Next, let's look at a little bit of ROI calculation to help you understand what your budget might be. So this is from a survey. These are real numbers collected by a survey of US contractors that adopted software, and we're seeing real-time savings and efficiency results and a real effect to their profitability on their bottom line. So here you see there were 6 hours per week per worker saved with the implementation of new software. And if you base that on an average salary, in this case, it was the average salary of the staff were $70K. So really that translates out to $3,000 per staff per year. And if you have a staff of 12, let's say, you're gonna save $36,000 in payroll, just paying them to do paperwork and all of the stuff that now your software is streamlining and making more efficient. That doesn't show the extra productivity that you get in that, because if you're paying somebody $36,000 to do nothing, now they're actually being productive. Are they being productive, making money for you? Or are they on Instagram? Well, never 100% sure, but I think you're going to get more productivity and greater profits when you see this. So that's a good way to calculate your ROI, is like a ballpark number of about $3,000 per staff member. Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
Craig, is there anything coming up, or should we just carry on?
Craig, are there anything we want to stop now and take a look at in the questions? Anything good? Or anything that we can help with?
He's muted, but
so far so good. Okay. All right, you're going to move on now, John, to managing change.
Yeah. So change management, I've said this a bunch of times. How do you eat an elephant? And people look at me like I'm crazy. And the answer is one bite at a time. Okay, so you've done the homework, you've consulted your staff, you've picked the tech stack that is going to work best for you, or so you hope. But if you've done the homework right, you're on the right track. These are exciting times. Going from pen and paper or Excel to a dedicated piece of construction software is very exciting stuff. It enables you to be more efficient, decisive, and cost-effective when completing projects. You're enabling your staff to do their jobs better, and this can be a major morale boost for the whole team. And here we'd like to give you some insight into the best practices for change management. It may feel like you need to, ram it down everyone's throat and put the pedal to the metal, but that might just leave putting you and your team spinning in their wheels a bit. So just bear with me here. We got 5 different ways to affect small change to have a big effect. The first off is just promote small change. Treat it as a minor shift in the way you're doing things. Don't bite off more than you can chew right off the stalk. Don't position it as if it's something big. That can be scary for your staff. You don't want to overwhelm them with big new concepts and changes to their daily routines. Downplaying the introduction will help ensure that your team doesn't overreact and are more likely to accept the change. Talk about the positive benefits. It might take a bit of effort now. It will become very easy as it becomes a daily ritual. Just like anything, whether it's your email going from Outlook to Gmail, whatever, you do figure it out. Your staff are a lot like Garth. They fear change, so promote small change. Sell it to them as a test program. Enroll them in a process to start small. Look for the early benefits like less paperwork as a way to show value. And more time to do the other things that they need to do. Easy wins make for a good positive reinforcement. And once you have the initial buy-in, you've taken the first step to adoption. You want to test small groups. So don't go company-wide right off the start. Start with one crew or one or two office staff. Again, this makes for a less daunting task, and if you can pick influencers or natural leaders, you will find it easier to roll out with the rest of the team. The champions or leaders or influencers of your staff, whatever you want to call them, of the new systems can have more one-on-one time with the people they work with, and this will spread throughout the company. If you have people that you know are good with change and tech and or teaching, use them as your introductory group. Pull them aside and then make them their exclusive group. This will also serve to work out some of the bugs in the system, because you're going to find them. It's super smooth. All very important aspects when introducing change to your organization. The next part is teach small functions. It's better to have a small lesson that sticks with your staff. I'm sure we've all sat through a course, an 8-hour course, and by the end of the 8 hours, you're wondering what the beginning was, and you realize you have to do some significant homework to make it stick. So start with the basics. Set up profiles in the system. Try just clocking in or out or tracking equipment. Teach in short, easy lessons and let them master that function. Again, don't overwhelm them with too much at once. Get the test group on it and then expand the rest to the rest of the staff once the first bunch has figured it out. And once the first bunch has figured it out, then they can more easily teach the rest of the people that maybe are having trouble adopting. And now they become the teachers and can pass on what they've learned. And assign small roles. Don't overwhelm any one person. Identify your gurus or your leaders or champions, or the one person that gets tech and can help the rest of the staff. Have them pass on the skills to the other key foremen or supervisors. I know this is a bit repetitive, but it's really important to get solid adoption and get quick ROI. And the next layer of staff should be tasked with the specific roles as well. Roles to pass on new functions and follow up with their crews on their daily entries. And finally, create small goals. Shoot for small wins that the staff can attain. Communicate these goals and report on them when they've been met. Show them that they are meeting the expectations to give them the confidence that they need, that the new system will work. Because at times they're going to seem like it's not worth it, but it definitely is. As you reach these introductory goals, show them the benefits and how this is creating a better process, better information, and the benefits to them and the company. It really is a huge morale booster when you see it happen. Then introduce the next layer. And then after you have success with these first small goals, change management and planning, the rollout will set you up for success every time. I realize we're reaching the end here, so we're coming to the end here. I just want to read this slide. With all the progress happening across the construction supply chain today, it is becoming clear that the companies who embrace technology and integrate it to their production will be the ones that get ahead. And this is a quote from a KPMG survey of Canadian Construction Association members. Their findings are that it's important for the growth of the contractor to adopt new systems to manage their business. We have some really great articles that we have referenced in this webinar, and we'll pass them on, including this one. I think, so to wrap things up, there's just a couple of things that if you only have a couple of takeaways here, do a good evaluation of your needs and do a good evaluation of the software, and then plan your rollout to the rest of the staff. Those are two key takeaways for sure. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here, and a lot of this we could do an individual webinar on each one, but those are the two key takeaways. After this, we will be forwarding you the links to the articles and the links to the recording of the webinar and our details. So if you have any questions or if you want to start a discussion with us, feel free to do so.
John?
At this point, sorry, go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, a gentleman by the name of Doug Corbett raised his hand during the presentation. Doug, did you have a question or a comment that you wanted to make?
He can't speak.
If he could do it in the Q&A, that would be awesome.
There is a few questions now, and I realize we have 10 minutes left here. From Craig Campbell to everyone, are you finding that workers are reluctant to install apps? There were people that went into the chat feature.
That was the only one, John.
Okay, I see one here. Are you finding that workers are reluctant to install apps on personal phones? Are you further finding that workers are fine with exchanging text messages with software management? I'm not seeing, we have not heard of any problems with that. I don't know, Tim or Craig, can you speak to that? I'm not really seeing that at all.
Yeah,
I mean,
in my online answer to the question, I basically said that does arise. It depends on the company that the people are working for. In some cases, the companies have had effective change management, and they've provided incentives for people to utilize their own technology. In others, they haven't, so they're getting resistance. Why do they get resistance? Quite often, it's the big brother is watching issue, concerns
right.
about personal privacy issues, which are fair. However, in the case of the question from Greg Campbell, he asked if there was a inclination for text exchanges to work more effectively. And my answer is I do believe they will. The problem at this point in time is that very few applications provide good data interchange via text. Most of them, so take as an example, a labor equipment materials tracking system. We're not going to see too many of those in the marketplace that enable data exchange in real time via text. So there's a bit of a conundrum there in terms of what applications are going to work best. But eventually, I think more and more will be text oriented.
And I think one of the few programs out there, Declem, speaker point, it does allow workers to text in their schedules or find out where they're going the next day, which is a huge issue. The other thing I've found too is, you're always trying to keep your workers off their phones when they're at work. And now we're technically contemplating, okay, pull out your phone and start taking pictures and start texting, start entering data. So that's one thing to manage. You have to trust your staff. You can't always be looking over their shoulder. But if you're, like Tim said, hopefully they're not on Instagram and they're actually entering data into their phones.
And John, speaking to that question as well from Greg Campbell, they're talking about how are some staff reluctant to install apps or on their personal phones. The one thing that I have run into was, staff saying, look, it's data costing me money. If you're asking me to use my phone for work, then, I'm expecting some sort of stipend. And that's, I'd be happy to give a staff a $25, $50 stipend per month to help cover, not completely cover the costs of their phone because they're obviously using it more for personal use, but to help cover off the data or calls that they're using at work. And that's probably the case with a lot of companies anyway, but that's one way to solve that. That's that problem.
Yeah, and every company is different. It's like snowflakes. Some are either subsidizing the data plans or they're providing the phones and the data plans. And some staff might have two phones.
Yeah,
it's where you want to paint your company logo on the back of their phone so you know which one they're using. Any other questions, Craig, that you think we need to address, or is that it?
I think if people were following the Q&A tool, they'll see that most of those questions have good answers to them. The one that Graham asked about, are there specific softwares that are of value to specialty trades? We work with a couple of different applications that are designed for specialty trades. However, probably the best one in the marketplace happens to be a Canadian application called TradeTracks or tradetracks.ca. It was developed by a company that is in the trades initially, but they have a very, very strong application supported by an excellent team of developers, and it does a fantastic job of helping manage specialty trades. Guard on Construction asked about the future of Microsoft Dynamics and Microsoft Power BI. And is it an effective application to be used by a company that's already in a Microsoft 365 environment? That's a really good question. And I think it's one that the answer is not clear at this point. Microsoft, for those of you who don't know, just basically entered into a partnership with Enns Solutions, which is a part of Kiewit Corporation. It's an interesting move on the part of Microsoft, because in all of my years of experience working with Microsoft, they've never, well, I don't want to say never, but they seldom are industry specific in terms of their application development. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. My final comment to the folks at Gardon and to the rest of the audience is it's a little bit early yet. Let that partnership mature. Keep an eye on what's happening. I know we will. And then see how well it works in environments where, well, see how well it works, not concerning so much with the environment, but how, you know, what it's going to do for the industry. Don't, you know, a caution about being an early adopter of new technology is that sometimes you wind up being that company's guinea pig. So be careful when you take a look at something that's new. I'm finished, John. Thank you.
Okay, well, that brings us to the end of our presentation. I want to say thank you to the Winnipeg Construction Association for hosting this webinar, specifically to Peggy for helping us work out any of our interprovincial bugs and just giving us great advice on how to be good presenters. And thanks for everyone for signing in and giving us your time and listening to us today. And I want to wish you all good luck and success with your digital transformation journey. And with that, we'll call it to an end. Take care, everyone. Be safe.